Secretary Schmidt, back to you. I'd like to talk a little bit about some of the problems that happened in Pennsylvania in 2020, or perceived problems, I should say, and criticisms. Um, there, uh, it took a long time to count, as it does in Pennsylvania, for reasons that I'd like for you to explain to our audience. Um, and it became a big part of the false narrative that fraud was happening in Pennsylvania, and that the election was being stolen from Donald Trump by Democrats, notably in Philadelphia, where at the time you were an election official. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about what happened and what we should expect this year that might be different to help change the narrative about the way it works in Pennsylvania.
Mail-in ballot voting was relatively new to Pennsylvania in 20. I mean, it had passed in 2019 from a Republican House and a Republican Senate and signed by a Democratic governor. And we had had absentee ballot voting before, which occurred on a small percentage of our voters cast their votes that way. But it was pretty new. And with that newness, I think voters were had a lot of questions, and it's important that we answer their questions when they have them. But one thing that is a particular disadvantage in Pennsylvania that you referenced is not only is voting by mail new, but unlike most other states, red and blue alike, our counties cannot begin processing mail-in ballots before 7 a.m. on election morning. Plenty of other states, again, Republican states like Florida and others, allow this process to begin in advance. And what that means is, in those states, the mail vote by around midnight on election night, except for the ones that maybe came in that day or that evening. That's not the case in Pennsylvania because the process cannot begin until 7 a.m. on election morning. And it is acutely frustrating to have a technical problem with a technical solution that is nonpartisan, non-political, does not benefit any candidate or any party, and have Pennsylvania go through this in 2020 and that issue having not been addressed in the last 4 years by our legislature. It was
Meaning
something
that it can
that
happen
I know
again.
yeah,
Meaning that
that
it
we
can happen again.
advocated for. So, but Amy, like one thing that did change for the better is mail-in ballot voting was new, and our counties have some experience now. They can process ballots more expeditiously while maintaining the integrity of the process. There have been lessons learned along the way, so I'm hopeful we'll get the results earlier than we did in 2020, but it always comes down